She should be on her way, yes.
We're good to go, Robert?
Yes, we are good to start.
Okay, very good. All right, good afternoon, everybody. We're going to go ahead and call to order the Capital Area Tolling Authority CARTA Board meeting of Wednesday, November 19th, 2025. It is now 1 o'clock. And to lead us off, Director Chapman, would you lead us in the pledge?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, so I think we are expecting a couple of other directors shortly. All right, I'd ask the clerk to call the roll, please.
All right, directors, when I call your name, please indicate your presence. Director Seves.
Here.
Chapman.
Here.
Kennedy, absent. Vice Chair Early, absent. Chair Villegas.
Vice Chair Early just walked in.
The records show that Vice Chair Early is present.
All right, Director Villegas, yep, present.
Ex officio members Click. Here. Deloria, absent. Talamontes, absent. We have a quorum.
Very good. All right, we will now move on to public communications. Time for anyone to wishing to address the board on items that are not on the agenda. This would be the opportunity to have any slips to speak.
There's no public comment.
All right, very good. No public comment. That then takes us to last bit of housekeeping, which is the main agenda disclosures. This is the opportunity for directors to disclose anything that needs to be publicly disclosed, any conflicts of interest of anything of that sort. Are there any disclosures? Seeing none, we'll now take up the consent item. Clerk, is there anyone that wants to speak on items that are on consent?
There's no public comment.
No public comment. So we have two items of consent. We have a couple, let's see, we have the October 15th meeting minutes, and then we have the 2026 board meeting schedule. Both items are on consent. Is there a motion to approve or any questions by any of the directors? Motion. So we have a motion to
Early
approve
seconds.
and early seconds. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
None opposed with some absences. Okay, action item. We'll now move on to action item, agenda item 3, which is the YOLO 80 concept of operations update. Kathleen, I think that's going to be yours.
Yeah, thank you so much. Good afternoon, Chair Villegas, Vice Chair Early, and members of the board. So item 3 will be a brief oral presentation for me today. It's our only action item on this agenda. It's regarding the YOLO 80 concept of operations. This document, which is included as attachment 3A in your packet, is a highly detailed document that talks at great length about how exactly the YOLO 80 project will operate, where ingress and egress points are, each of the different parties, what they're going to be responsible for. And it was originally developed in 2024 to support the AB 194 application that we submitted for authority to toll to the state of California. At that point in February 2024, there were a lot of decisions that had not yet been made. We didn't have a final alternative for YOLO 80. We hadn't made a lot of the toll policy decisions that we've made at this point this year. So CARTA staff, in collaboration with Caltrans District 3 and YOLO Transportation District staff, have been working together to true up this document to be consistent with the decisions that Caltrans has made regarding alternatives and that this board has made regarding policy. So the document before you for approval is administrative update to this document, really just sort of correcting sections that previously we didn't have answers to that we have answers to now. There are still a number of sections that describe what may happen in the future, including, who the roadside system vendor will be, how exactly the back office relationship will work. So this board can expect future updates to this document to continue as we get closer to YOLO 80, but the document as it exists right now is a great statement of where we are with the project and what we know now. Importantly, this document will get attached to the request for proposals that we'll submit for that roadside vendor next year. So we wanted to get this document updated with the information we have now so that we can give them the most accurate information to kind of bid on as we get closer. And with that, I'm happy to take any questions.
That document in front of us is sort of a iterative process that is now kind of culminating what we need demonstrate as you indicated in terms of what the RFP should look like next year. Are there any comments or questions on any parts of the document?
I asked this during our prep call, but I think it's important just we called out here. We had talked about the waterfall, how things would split out. That's not included in this because we tabled that, right?
That's right. So the waterfall conversation is not included in the toll policy resolution as part of item 4, nor is it described in this item 3.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
All right, more to come on that. Okay, then we will check to see if there are any slips to speak on this item.
There's no public comment.
And no public comment. All right, well, that means it's great work. Thank you, Kathleen. Okay, it is an action item, so, right? We do need action by this body to move it forward.
Early moves.
Early moves. Second, all those in favor, please say aye.
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 All those, yes, yeah,
Are we good?
yeah, I think we're good. I was listening to the music. Sorry.
That was
I
telling
know
you to
the
wrap
dying
up.
sun, I was gonna make a joke
I did
about
not
that,
get
but
a
the dying sun.
Can you repeat can you repeat who the second was on that? I'm so
All right.
sorry.
Sebas.
Sebas,
So
okay,
we have a
thank you.
motion by Early, a second by Sebas. All those in favor, please say aye. None opposed, hearing none, that motion carries unanimously as well. Just a question on that. So when it does come back with updates, how frequently are you anticipating that would come back? And then what would that look like for us to distinguish the iterative process and what is changed in that document?
That's a good question.
Sure. So I would anticipate 1, maybe 2 more updates to this document. It's very thorough. As I've said, it's very long. It's a riveting read for anyone who's interested, but there's a couple of sections that are still kind of question marks for us as we're developing the system. So once we have the back office contract sorted out next year and the roadside vendor interface exactly clarified, there'll be some more details that we'll want to add to those sections. There's also some sections regarding exactly how maintenance and operations will work with Caltrans and how enforcement will work with CHP, all of which are also pending agreements. So once more agreements are in place, I think there'll be another true up late 2026, early 2027, just to kind of finalize the version of the
And
document.
those trips would have like a red line version so that it's clear for those, because this is new for a lot of folks and we've talked about kind of making sure that it's fully transparent so everybody knows where we've been, where we are, and potentially where we're going. So
I'll make that note for the team to provide a red line version.
I think that'd be helpful,
Yep.
just initially. Okay, very good. So Director Kennedy, we just want to make sure you knew we just adopted, there were no questions on item 3, which is the Yellow 80 concept of operations update. A very brief item. So, okay. All right, that is the one action item that we had. That was item 3. Item 4 is a toll policy resolution. Kathleen, that's yours as well.
Yeah, thank you so much. So over the course of this year, this board has made a lot of toll policy decisions. You've taken them in 2 parts. You've had informational workshops to sort of debate and discuss a policy issue. And then we've come back with individual recommendations that have been approved to move forward. So as always, we've talked about this year, the process was we'd take them one by one. And then as we got to the end of the calendar year, we'd bring them all back together for one more approval as a resolution in December. So the version before you right now is on information and it's a draft. So it's another opportunity for this board to take a full look at the set of toll policy decisions that have been made. And also the staff report notes that we've released this draft set of toll policies out for public comment. We released it on November 10th, sent it out to all of CARTA's interested parties and are collecting public comment through December 8th. So when we come back to you in December for final approval of this toll policy resolution, we'll also reflect any comments that we received from the public and any changes, if necessary, in toll policy based on that comment from the public. So the board will take action on this next month. Vice Chair Early already asked about this, but just to clarify, the waterfall conversation that we had last month, the board did not take action on that item. So that policy has been removed from the list, is not reflected in this resolution, won't be in the resolution next month. And the board will need to make a decision on that in the future as a sort of separate policy action.
Got it.
With that, happy to take any questions.
All right. Are there any initial questions by any directors? Seeing none, do we have any slips to speak on the item?
There's no public comment.
So we have no public comment, no hands raised. All right, so they'll bring it back to, yes, sir.
Just a quick question, and as we go further down next year and really even into operations, if any of these policies need to be updated based on operational needs or otherwise, obviously there'll be opportunity to come back to the board and update them.
That's right. So this is a board resolution that the board could take up amendments to at any point. They'll also note that state law requires that we ultimately adopt a toll ordinance, and that will go through a full public hearing process as part of an ordinance adoption, and that will be much closer to opening YOLO 80. Not all of these toll policies need to be reflected in that toll ordinance. So there'll be kind of multiple opportunities for the board to kind of revisit any of these as necessary. But these policies are really foundational for your team to be able to continue to deliver the project for you.
Thank you.
Oh, actually,
That's a good distinction. No,
yeah, can I?
yeah.
Okay. And just along those lines, as you guys are working through with Caltrans, because I'm assuming that that's going to be a lot of like the back of the office and the operations, you guys will be coming back to us as well. It kind of starts with the last conversation we had around like the iterations and whatnot. What will that look like as conversations are progressing? Or I could just call you.
Sure. So at this point in time, staff aren't anticipating changes to these toll policies, right? As they stand, they're the right decision to make for the YOLO 80 project and for the progress that we're making. If some unforeseeable at this point change were to occur, the board has the ability to kind of change these policies if necessary. I think the main input that would necessitate a relook at this is if another facility comes into CARTA's system and that facility has different operational needs than what we've put in here. Because these are toll policies right now for all of CARTA's system, which is just YOLO 80. If another project came in, then, and it may have different needs, right? It may have a different physical structure, it may need to operate differently, and then that would be the next major point for change.
That's perfect. Thank you so much.
Super helpful.
I can just add to that as well. I
Yep.
think one of the things that you also are kind of speaking to is the agreements that we'll have, right? And so there are decisions that are specific to Caltrans, and what's a Caltrans responsibility, what's a CARTA responsibility, those are on the work plan for CARTA to come back to. So you'll have a set of parallel decisions that you're weighing in on over the next few years related to that.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's super helpful. All right. Did I already ask if there's any slips to speak on this item?
You did. There's no public comment.
There is. Okay. All right. So we're good with that. This is informational only, correct? So, all right. Thank you for that. Item 5 is the pre-toll revenue operations funding update. That's Eric.
Thanks. So with this item, I want to give you an update on kind of where CARTA is at with its funding and expenses before the revenue services anticipated in mid-2028. So as you may recall, SACOG has provided 2 loans to CARTA to pay for the upstart costs for its first 2 years. SACOG, I don't think, is in a position to continue to do that through operations. And so we've looked to other partners to step up and to assist in that. And this is very much a loan, not funding for CARTA, right? Because it is anticipated on the traffic and revenue studies that we've seen that were produced by YOLO TD, that it will make money once it's open and we'll be able to cover all of its expenses. And so the issue before us is, specifically for this current fiscal year, based on kind of some of the board decisions that you all have made to hire an executive director, bring on the appropriate consultant team to make sure we're successful in this. We need about $1 million for this fiscal year, and then approximately $3 million for next fiscal year. The outer 2 years before we open, it's a little more unclear. And so we have a range in total of about $5 to $10 million between now and mid-2028 that we're looking to get funding for. Before I talk about kind of the update on where we're at in terms of receiving those funds, I did want to just kind of emphasize the difference between these CARTA costs and what are project costs, right? So the YOLO 80 project that's under construction has a number of things that have started as either a Caltrans or YOLO TD responsibility. Some of those are transferring to CARTA, but ultimately CARTA isn't in a place to pay for some of those things. It's like the toll system integrator, right? The equipment and the software that will run the system. That's something that's going to come back to you for an action to move forward to release as an RFP. So it'll be something that CARTA kind of owns and operates, but ultimately is not responsible for funding. So that's separate from the fund estimate we're talking about here. So with regards to the partner loans, I'm happy to say we've had some good discussions with some of the public agencies within Yolo County who are interested in stepping up and helping CARTA in this period of time. And so where we are tentatively is we have some consistent terms that we would offer to them where it is just a loan between those local agencies and CARTA to help with this, and then CARTA would pay back those loans over a period of 10 years from which the time at which we kind of start the repayment of those. They would give CARTA the flexibility to take draws as it needs. So we kind of have, you know, these loans in place where essentially CARTA can access these funds on an as needed basis. And then CARTA would pay those back over time to the local agencies that are lending money to CARTA. My proposal is that in December, we'll bring back a draft term sheet for this board to take action on and give direction to us to go negotiate out the specifics with those agencies. But again, we're looking at having consistent loan terms with every agency. So it's really just kind of a financial arrangement. This is not a policy making or kind of funding for any particular need. It's really helping CARTA get off the ground and cover some of these costs until the funds flow in. So we'll definitely go into much more detail next month in terms of kind of what those terms look like and what agencies are willing to help us out with that. But I think we're at a good place, you know, on that front. So happy to answer any questions you might have.
All right. Are there any questions, comments on that before we take any public testimony? Yes, sir. Yeah.
Yep. When you bring those back next month, will you have information on current markets, LAIF, all that type of work in terms of percentages that we're looking at negotiating?
Yeah, so we can bring back some information on that. I will say what the partner agencies in Yolo County are interested in is a fixed rate, right?
Sure.
And I think there's a couple reasons behind that. One, you know, unlike with the pooled investments, right, that, you know, are much more stable source of investment, CARTA is a bit of a risk, right? We know that we're taking all the right steps to set it up, but the jurisdictions don't necessarily know that everything's going to work as planned for this project. And so where the consensus is arrived at is they're really interested in a fixed rate over time. So we can certainly kind of provide some information on kind of what the current rates are.
Great.
But that's where the interest
Right.
lies right now.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah,
Thanks.
fixed rate.
Yeah. Yep.
Will you also, because I think it would be helpful, in addition to knowing, you know, what the different options are for rates, right? If we were to go out, is what other options do we have? I think that would be just really helpful to set the table
Yeah.
for us, and right, like context matters.
Right, absolutely.
If this is the best thing smoking and the only thing smoking, it's like, you know, it's kind of like when you give us 3 options, but really this is the only option. So I think that would be helpful too, to know like what our reality is.
Yeah. Yeah, and you know, there may be additional information that comes in, but I will just tell you plainly, I don't think there are really other options that we have.
I appreciate the plain talk.
Yeah,
It helps.
we've looked at the California Infrastructure Bank as a potential solution for CARTA should we need to get funding for things, but they provide loans for capitalizable costs. And what we're talking about here are really the operational day-to-day pay your executive director costs. And so I think this is the best offer we've got, and I think a good one from our local agency partners. I think the other kind of policy issue I will bring forward to you, you know, when you're having those discussions is what the repayment looks like, right? So I think we're proposing that, you know, it's either going to be a fixed payment or kind of graduated payments. I think there's trade-offs that you need to think about as a board on that. You know, if you have a graduated payment, you're going to pay more in interest, you know, the longer you hold that loan. But at the same time, it frees you up in your early years where you have unanticipated costs for marketing or unexpected costs that come up the system. So it gives you some flexibility in the future. I think one of the things, while we're not necessarily, we don't have direction on to negotiate on this, I think, you know, it's really important to us that we're looking at no prepayment penalty on these, right? So if things are very successful, CARTA can get out of these loans. It's not like you're fixed to a long-term debt obligation that you might otherwise have from other lending sources. So yeah, but we'll get into that in a lot more detail next month.
Awesome. Yeah, super helpful. All right. Any other comments? If not, do we have any public testimony on this item?
There's no public comment.
No public comment. Okay, then that also was informational and we'll get more in December. What meeting is that, Eric, you're saying?
Yes, it's December 17th is our next board meeting.
17th, very good, okay. Good to know. All right, that is item 5. Item 6 is the Interstate 5 Managed Lanes Project Overview. Jess, welcome back.
As he's coming up to the podium, I'll just give a little brief introduction. So Jess Avila is from Caltrans District 3, and he's the project manager of the SAC 5 Managed Lanes project. So this information item is really to just familiarize this board with that project. It's currently in the environmental phase. Next year is going to be a very big year for this project in terms of finalizing environmental, starting to think about tolling authority if a toll alternative is chosen for the project, and starting to think about how to fund ultimately construction of this project. So I requested that District 3 staff come and give you this presentation, just really so you all can start to feel more familiar and comfortable with this project before we get into some of those meatier conversations as a staff and as a board next year. So with that, I'll hand it to Jess.
Good afternoon, Chair, members of the CARTA Board. Thank you for the opportunity
Is that microphone
to
on?
present an update on the Interstate 5, on the Interstate 5 Managed Lanes project in Sacramento County. Today, I'll walk you through the project's purpose, existing traffic conditions, alternatives considered, and the proposed schedule and funding outlook. Our shared goal is to deliver a project that enhances mobility for all users, commuters, transit riders, and freight operators, while supporting the long-term growth and prosperity of the Sacramento region. This project proposes adding managed lanes in both directions on I-5 from the I-5 US 50 interchange north to the Sacramento River. This corridor connects downtown Sacramento, the Sacramento International Airport, and key employment and logistics centers. It serves as a major route for commuters, air travelers, and freight, including growing operations at Metro Air Park and nearby Amazon facilities. In addition to adding capacity, the project will include intelligent transportation system upgrades, such as electronic message signs and ramp meters, to actively manage congestion and improve traffic flow. In short, this project will improve reliability, safety, and economic productivity on one of the most important corridors in the region. I-5 is already experiences serious congestion near US 50 interchange, the I-80 to the American River Bridge, and Airport Boulevard interchange. With regional population and airport growth, traffic is expected to increase significantly over the next 2 decades. This project is designed to provide more predictable travel times for carpools, buses, and toll users, improve freight efficiency, helping trucks maintain steady speeds for goods movement, enhance safety by reducing stop-and-go conditions and congestion-related collisions, support environmental goals through better traffic management and fewer idling emissions. It also aligns with the state and regional priorities, including Climate Action Plan for Transportation Infrastructure, SB1 Trade Corridor Enhancement, and SACOG 2020 MTP SES. Today, during the evening commute, traffic heading southbound on I-5 faces 2 major bottlenecks in the PM peak hours between 3 and 7 p.m. Between Airport Boulevard and Metro Air Parkway, and from Del Paso Road to the American River Bridge. The first bottleneck lasts about 1.5 to 2 hours with speeds around 25 to 30 miles per hour. The second is more severe, lasting 3.5 to 4 hours with traffic often crawling at 10 to 15 miles per hour. These daily slowdowns delay commuters and freight alike, undermining travel reliability and economic efficiency. The evening commute heading northbound is equally challenging. The two main trouble spots are from US 50 interchange through West El Camino Avenue and from just south of I-80 up to Highway 99. Each congestion zone lasts 3 to 3.5 hours. In the first bottleneck area, speeds can drop to around 10 miles per hour. And in the second, 20 to 25 miles per hour. This recurring gridlock reinforces the need for strategic investment in managed lanes to improve traffic flow, safety, and reliability across the corridor. 11 design alternatives were analyzed, ranging from no build to various combinations of carpool, toll, express, and transit-only lanes. Specifically, the types of managed lanes analyzed include an HOV 2+, an HOT 3+, and 2+, express lanes, exclusive transit lanes, and dual lanes, HOT 2+, and 3+. Alternatives involving lane conversion, repurposing existing general lanes, were considered, but some are not recommended due to potential negative traffic impacts. Caltrans continues to work closely with SACOG and STA to ensure consistency with federal programs and position the project for future state and federal funding. Once completed, the better performing managed lane alternatives will bring broad regional benefits, reliable access to jobs, the airport, and key destinations like Golden One Center, safer conditions with fewer congested related collisions, cleaner travel options, encouraging carpooling and transit use, and improved equity, providing more consistent transit service to disadvantaged communities. Travel time reliability is significant. Managed lanes users and transit riders over 40%. General lane users and freight nearly 30% faster through the corridor. These improvements mean less time in traffic, more predictable commutes, and stronger economic connectivity for the Sacramento region. The total estimated project cost is $403 million plus VMT mitigation. Currently, $82 million is made possible by SACOG and STA, leaving an unfunded balance of approximately $321 million plus mitigation. Funding efforts are ongoing through SB1 cycles, federal grants, and SACOG discretionary programs. Target milestones are draft environmental document, summer of 2026, environmental approval, spring of 2027, final design by spring of 2029, and beginning construction winter of 2029. Open to traffic for summer of 2032, and toll system integration completion for tolling alternatives by 2033. These milestones depend on continued funding, partnerships, and financial support. This investment will modernize one of Sacramento's most important corridors, ensuring safer, faster, and more sustainable travel for decades to come. In closing, I-5 Managed Lanes project represents a strategic investment in the region's future, one that will deliver measurable benefits in travel time, safety, air quality, and economic performance. We recognize that completing a project of this magnitude will require continued collaboration and funding partnerships. And we're committed to keeping the CARTA board informed as we move through the environmental and design phases. I want to thank the board for the opportunity to present an update on the I-5 Managed Lanes project, and I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Excuse me. Thank you very much, Jess. Good to see you. All right. Are there any questions or comments on presentation thus far?
I have a question, but
yeah.
I can wait till after public
I
comment.
was going to do the same. Okay, very good. So do we have any, so let's speak on that?
There's no public comment.
No public comment. Okay, I'll bring it back. Director Early.
Can you just go 2 slides back to your, I think your cost slide is the first slide I'd want to ask about. Yeah, perfect. Thank you so much. So right now the unfunded part is $321 million. How, is there a general plan in regards to how to get closer? I appreciate like, hey, as long as the funding keeps coming in, which is great. Aspirational, but great. And so how is that going to happen?
How are we going to
Eat into the
make up the
320
unfunded need?
Yeah,
Yes.
that's a big
So,
number.
as I mentioned earlier, we are looking at applying at any local, state, or federal grants that are available. In fact, we have applied for federal grants. We were not successful, infra and mega. And so we also applied for SB1 TSIP. Unfortunately, we did get money, but we had to forego it. We wanted to analyze additional alternatives, which we did, the dual managed lanes. But we are planning to apply for the next SB1 cycle, and in March coming up, hopefully there'll be some infra grants that are available. And then again, any SACOG discretionary funding that we're eligible for.
Just a couple more questions. As a city that has infrastructure projects like the bridge, like light rail, what I've seen in my very short tenure is the price tag that it originally was has doubled, tripled over the years. And so the 321, is that the price of unfunded right now? And so as we keep going through the years, is it going to just keep getting larger? I'm imagining it is, but I would love to hear from you on that too.
Sure. So the way we do estimating is we do a current cost. So we take the latest rates for construction materials and we figure what that cost is. And then we escalate it to mid-construction year. So on top of that, currently, we do have a contingency, being that it's still in the environmental phase. So, and as we get closer to construction, that contingency drops. So currently, we're at 25%.
Okay.
So not only does it include the escalation, but also the 25% contingencies of things that may come up as we're fine tuning the project.
That's perfect. And then last question, is there a cheaper version? And so is this the project that's like, hey, these are all the bells and whistles, right? If we could build it, they would come kind of thing. But if we had less money, right? Like, if you were balling on a budget, is there that? Or this is like, we cut all the things and this is what we've got?
Right. So this estimate is for the most expensive alternative. Want to make sure we cover.
Okay.
All of the tolling are covered under this estimate. We have others that are non-tolling. Obviously, that would be less,
Mhm.
right? And so we're also, strategizing how we might phase the project for construction to get a little bit out. The big challenge is getting $321 million in one shot.
Yeah, that's it.
Right.
Same.
So that's a very difficult thing to do. So mega federal grants allow for a project of this magnitude, but that is a challenge, and we're looking at what we can build in an interim, as and over time complete it. So we will clear, one alternative entirely,
Mhm.
and propose that we build it in phases. 100 million seems to be a sweet spot in terms of getting funding. But again, that's still quite a sizable amount.
And I know I said that was my last question, but this is the follow-up. You mentioned that the tolling part was kind of built in. So I guess my question would be, if we didn't get the 321 million, if we got the, again, the more basic version, would that then still have us rolling out potentially tolling in summer of 2032? If we could like do the bare bones?
If we did it bare bones, and I believe we're probably dropping it with all the infrastructure needed for tolling. It's in the ballpark of about $100 million.
Okay.
So if we were just going to do the bare bones and not toll, right, then it would be about $100 million less.
I don't really, this is more than of a comment and feedback on that. I do not claim to be an infrastructure or tolling expert, although now I've got a couple years under my belt. What I would say is potentially, if you did roll that out for the 100 million, that revenue then from the tolling could then pay for further phases of the project. Again, just not trying to spend anyone's money, but throwing that out there. And now, I will
That
yield
I
the
think,
floor.
I don't know if I can answer that directly. We need to look to see what the revenues would be for actually, having enough revenue and how long it would take to get that revenue to complete the project. If we did, go out in phases, then we would continue to apply to, again, local, state, and federal grants to complete it. So it wouldn't just sit idle. We would continue working on it.
Great, thank you.
All right, if there are no other questions or comments, we have no slips to speak on this item. Did you want to answer part of her question that you were looking at?
We got to it eventually. I was gonna say, because I know that 321 looks gargantuan. I recognize
Not
it.
just looks, it
It
is.
is, and my point being is, but phasing
Mhm.
is the answer, and really getting a lot of the environmental right-of-way project development we've done upfront, then you phase it, then subsequent phases become a lot easier as funding opportunities come up. And we all know how both on the federal and state cycles come up with, we have lean years, but then we have rich years where people come in with some kind of federal programs or state programs or combinations thereof. So we just need to position this project to get that first phase going and be in a really good position to take advantage of future funding opportunities.
Excellent, makes sense.
Thanks.
And it seems like it's far away, but it's really not. I mean, just over a year from now, spring 2027, you'll have a final EIR document. I would love to have you come back and kind of give us sort of a quick and dirty where you are and where it landed, as we figure out kind of what the next steps will be. So
Absolutely, be happy to do that.
very good. Thank you so much, Jess.
If I could quickly put a finer point on that, Chair Villegas. So as Jess mentioned, CARTA staff have been working closely with Caltrans staff on the development of this project and will continue to do so. There are a couple of interfaces with the development of this project that are really important for CARTA. So the first major decision is going to be on alternative selection. As you can imagine, some alternatives generate more money and some generate less, and that'll be a critical consideration for you all as a board, thinking about the kind of financial health of this project as it might come into your system. And then really wanting to evaluate that traffic and revenue forecast so that this board feels really comfortable with where that project is going and ultimately owning and operating it once the toll system is in place. And then, of course, like YOLO 80, this project will need to get approval from the state of California in order to toll. So CARTA will be a key partner with Caltrans and STA on getting that whole package together. So there'll be a number of major milestones and future board discussions to come on this.
Figured as much. Okay, that's super helpful. Thank you, Kathleen, for that. All right, thank you, Jess. All right, if there are no other comments or questions on that item, it was informational only. That we are now going to move into closed session. At this point, we're asking the non-voting members and the public to exit this room, so we will go into our closed session items.
Give the technical team about 5 minutes to get into closed session.
5 minutes it is. Thank you. Thank you.
It's
Okay, we are back streaming.
I should turn on my microphone. Nothing to report out. We are moving on to item 8, which is there are 2 items to receive and file. Toll program management procurement and fiscal year 25-26 quarterly financials. No action necessary. Are there any final comments or questions by any members at the table? If not, then we are adjourned. Next meeting is December 17th, 2025. Thank you, everybody.
Awesome, thanks.